Well, thanks for the introduction, Peter. I am going to talk today about Auditor's sustainability focus and a little about the research that I have done in this area to date. So, there's been such a growth of sustainability reporting that's occurred, and with that has come such a great deal of concern about should there be assurance or attestation services tied to this reporting to add confidence and verification to the underlying disclosures being provided. With that, there's been concern on whether it should be provided by audit firms or other firms, such as engineering and consulting firms, that are much more nuanced with the technical details underlying the sustainability reporting. Well, currently, audit firms provide globally 58% of the assurance services over sustainability reporting. However, there's a great deal of variation globally, and in the US, only approximately 23% of assurance services are actually being provided by audit firms. Globally, this number is much higher. However, amongst all of these engagements, only limited assurance is being provided overall. So this brings a lot of questions and concerns about the role of the auditor, ranging from what should the extent of assurance be? Should it be limited as what is being provided currently, or reasonable assurance, much more what we think of with a financial statement audit? What should the scope of a sustainability reporting under assurance or attestation services be? How should assurance services be provided? As part of a financial statement audit, normal assurance engagement, or should it be a separate engagement with distinct rules? Also, why should the auditor be the one providing these services compared to these other firms that exist? And what are the consequences of auditors' involvement and having assurance over sustainability reporting? Now, a little bit to the point of why auditors. So both the CAQ and PCAOB representatives have spoken out in this regard. The CAQ views auditors as independent experts who have the experience to look over this sustainability reporting and enhance reliability. From the PCAOB, they go a little more direct, and board member Robert Brown Jr. actually goes through and says sustainability matters can and do directly impact the financial statements. So pulling it more to what we think of when we talk about a normal audit engagement, and how, as part of that normal audit engagement, audit firms can and should examine these estimates and valuations as part of the audit. Well, as pulling this information into a financial statement setting, the SEC has a long regulatory background in having client firms consider what disclosures they are making for sustainability reporting. Now, going back to the 70s and 80s, this information focused moreover on just environmental concerns, environmental proceedings, compliance with laws and regulations. More recently, this information has been expanded through the 2022 SEC proposal and the recently passed SEC final ruling in 2024 on more risk-based disclosures, both on risks facing firms and risk mitigation strategies being taken by these firms. Also, the 2024 ruling did include disclosures for Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions, so a little more constrained than the proposal, but still an additional amount of information that is going to be placed into these annual reports. Now, prior to the SEC issuing its proposal in 2022, it sought comment letters from practice, and as part of this, a range of letters were received from large audit and accounting firms. Now, there are some trends amongst these letters on the screen, or just with the big four accounting firms. There are many others, but some trends among these show that there is currently a wide variation of how, when, and where sustainability disclosures are being provided, and how there's a need for a baseline minimal disclosure framework to provide additional transparency and understanding of where these disclosures should be made, notably in the 10K. Now, these comment letters also show that having additional disclosure guidance could help increase transparency, but also confidence and comparability between disclosures made by different firms. Now, amongst these letters, these audit firms are also starting to question the role of external assurance. And some remarks are made how these large accounting firms have the expertise necessary to provide assurance and other services to their clients over sustainability reporting. So in our study, we focus on that auditor sustainability focus. So within your normal standardized financial statement audit engagement, where we're not specifically looking to see whether the auditor is providing additional assurance engagements, but we're looking at this ecosystem that exists between the auditor, client, and other stakeholders, where there are a multitude of standards and frameworks and interested parties to the sustainability reporting. Now, although all of these larger accounting firms are saying that they do have the sustainability expertise necessary to involve with their clients on this matter, there can be differing levels of sustainability focus amongst auditors. So some auditors may care more about sustainability as a topical issue than others, and that could change depending on the time frame that we are looking at the issue. So in our study, we argue that a phenomenon called positive assortative matching can occur. That is, when a client wants to report more about sustainability, they're going to seek out and match with an auditor who likewise cares as much about sustainability as an issue. So stated otherwise, if a client is using an auditor with greater sustainability focus, then they could be using that as a strategy to credibly report sustainability information. Now, importantly, we are not stating that auditors are changing their clients' reporting. We're not saying that auditors are the force actually causing their clients to change. Rather, we're saying that matching based on sustainability commonalities can foster additional auditor-client discussions. And these discussions can help reduce sustainability information processing costs for the client firms. So it is quite difficult to determine how much an auditor is going to care about sustainability as an issue in a given time. So we use public auditor communications through Twitter, and now it's X, to use as an instrument to capture sustainability focus. So as part of our research, we do find that auditor tweets reflect thought leadership, expertise, and credibility. Now, as part of this, we conduct several interviews with audit firm communication specialists and sustainability leaders to gain additional insight. Now, I do have 3 quotes from our interviews here in this presentation. The first 2 on this slide show and underscore the role the auditor is trying to play in the sustainability field. So recognizing the fact that client firms are going to say, hey, we need some independent, objective party to come in, issue some type of assurance or report over our sustainability information. And hey, we're saying as the auditor, we have the knowledge, we have the expertise with that, and we can connect you as a client to the necessary resources to go through and follow through on those sustainability reporting goals. Now, our third interview quote here on the screen goes one step further within the sustainability space. And I'm not going to go through the entire quote, but in the bolded in the middle of the quote, this participant noted that there's a lot that they can do with their audit client in the broad ESG space and even more broadly, but you do have to consider the role of independence. So we have to preserve the ability to influence and drive trust with our stakeholders through awareness via their clients. Okay, so even though there's so much that can be done, even as part of the audit engagement, independence is still a concern in this long-term value creation through sustainability information. Now, using these interview findings, we then conduct a series of empirical analysis where we find evidence that greater auditor sustainability focus is positively associated with client sustainability reporting, which provides some evidence in support of positive assortative matching. We find that there is a positive association with Item 1A risk factor disclosures surrounding sustainability, so specific to sustainability, and with the extent of social and governance sustainability activities. Interestingly, we do not find any evidence of an association between auditor sustainability focus and clients' environmental activities. We also find evidence that activities or specializations provided by the auditor, such as being an industry specialist or a Big Four auditor, where they provide additional client idiosyncratic information, are positive moderators of this association between sustainability focus and client sustainability reporting. That is, we find a positive moderation with the extent of disclosures and governance activities of clients. We also find that changes in an auditor's sustainability focus are positively associated with additional client sustainability reporting. That is, either switching from an auditor with lesser to greater sustainability focus, or even an increase within an auditor over time is positively associated with disclosures, and with that change over time within an auditor is also positively associated with governance activities. So what are some of the big takeaways that we have from our study and in this space with auditor sustainability focus? Well, first, there is a potential for positive assortative matching to occur between auditors with sustainability focus and clients seeking to expand their sustainability reporting. But much remains unknown about the role of the auditor, so we are only providing initial evidence about disclosure and real behavior implications. However, there is so much to expand upon that we do not know. So I'll leave you all today with 3 thought questions going through in this space that future research can explore. First, how does auditor focus affect the understanding of sustainability risk? We provide evidence that there is a change in the extent of client reporting, but how is that interpreted? Second, to what extent is auditor involvement beneficial? So auditors can play a role, but how is this going to be as this space expands and there's additional regulatory involvement? Third, are there any unintended consequences? It's a vast space. The role of the auditor can be quite broad, and this is very novel. So with that, I thank everybody for their attention listening to this, and I look forward to more research in the area of auditor sustainability focus. Thank you.